Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm drinking coffee, talking to you. I'm scanning the web. If you're going to train for something, you got to train for something.
Then I'd basically be qualified to suffer the massive climb and massive descent the rest of the way.
That's not fun anymore. But we don't have to just talk about ultra running, right?
Maybe I need to just shoot for the 100.
Do whatever. It's more fun. It's like less stressful too.
And then think about what did I step on along the way.
What? Did you just say what? That's pretty funny. See, I'm not doing 5 races a year now because I love my family. So great. Wonderful. He's not doing his races. We feel so bad. Talk about anything we want. Like, did you wake up? Did you take a crap this morning? How was it? Things like that. I think that's all I want to really talk about is, we can involve a lot of people and maybe take some questions.
Yeah, this is the Ultra Diner.
The Ultra Diner.
Okay. Do you hear anything now?
Yeah.
Did it say that there are or is one? There are one callers.
I was so frustrated with the fact that I couldn't dial into this stupid machine or whatever the heck it is that I didn't even pay attention to that. But I did hear that I was being recorded now. So
yeah.
Thank you, Zoom, very much.
That's too awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just fat fingering through the phone to try and figure out what's this meeting ID again. And you can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Because I'm there's likely gonna be background noise on my end. I'm sitting in the I don't know what you call this, the back patio of the hotel room.
What is this? You're on vacation. So why are you
I know.
You're on vacation.
I know. I'm excited to see what we can do in what little time we have.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you got your research done?
No. No. No, I didn't get my research done. But I don't need research. I can research. There's actually a whole bunch of things like that are interesting that I've been like thinking about talking about.
Okay. What's the first one?
Pretty cool things, actually.
What's the first one?
Oh, well, look, we could start talking about a whole bunch of things, right? So, like, first of all, I think I mentioned the last podcast, I spent about 2.5 to 3 months specifically not being a full no sugars, no grains, low carb lifestyle person, which is very interesting in many ways. So I'd love to get into today and maybe in some future episodes what that was like, what were some of the changes that I went through and things like that. But just starting this past Monday, after a wonderful drunken beer fest in Vermont over the weekend, which was fantastic, a thing called Hops in the Hills up in Ludlow, Vermont at the Okemo Resort. I started back on a full, almost low to no carb, but of course some carb, but very, very low carb, more ketogenic diet, pure NSNG. And along the way, for the last 3 days, I've been documenting everything, how I feel, what changes I'm seeing, my level of energy, how it's affecting my sleep at night, how it's affecting my morning workouts and things like that. And in fact, there's a guy I follow on Instagram that has a podcast. It's called the Keto Savage Podcast. They make this thing called the Keto Brick that I haven't been able to be quick enough to get yet when it's come out. But he wants to, he's interested in getting together with me and having me on a show to discuss running Badwater 135, low carb, and a bunch of things about being an endurance athlete on a low carb kind of way of eating. That's one thing that's great to get into that we could talk about. We could start talking about that today. The other thing I wanted to talk about at some point was the Badwater 135 and the fact that 30 of its starters didn't finish the race this year. Out of the 69 finished, 30 did not finish. And when you look at the folks that didn't finish, you're talking about some former champions of the race that didn't finish, and some pros at this race that have been there before including Pete Kostelnik, who's won the race before, and even Marshall Ulrich, who's finished the race 20 some odd times. He wasn't able to complete the race this year. So that's another thing that we can talk about. And then I want to talk about this young girl online, and it kind of relates to social media and gets into social media. This girl, Demi Bagby, who's a, I guess you could describe her as a bodybuilder and calisthenics expert from California, who has a whole ton of Instagram followers. But she has a fascinating story. I think she was a cheerleader, and she was paralyzed for 3 months after she broke her back in a free cheerleading accident. And she thought she'd never be able to walk again. And some of the things that she does, that if you look at her Instagram account, are incredible. And I happened to see a post she put up the other day, and somebody started criticizing her about, being too out there, or being, oh, you share too much, or it's all about you, or you're focusing on yourself. And of course, she responded by saying, well, I'm an entertainer. This is part of my job. This is like what I do. And so it just started to get me thinking about how social media can be so, that's why I dislike a lot about social media. So those were like 3 things that came to mind straight away.
Cool. I'm I'm gonna flip over to my earbuds, and so if things change a little bit, I apologize. But yeah, that sounds good to me. I looked up Demi Bagby. You there?
Yeah. Yeah,
and I saw a bunch of the Instagram photos, and I was like, okay, I have no idea of what she's about, other than she challenges celebrities to fitness challenges. But that was just from the first few images that I saw.
She apparently has a whole story behind her. I don't know her. I've never spoken to her or anything like that or anything, but she has a really interesting, cool story where she thought that she was going to be paralyzed for life after this cheerleading accident. She broke her back and actually was paralyzed for 3 months. But she's become this, incredible athlete. If you just see, what she does from a fitness to, training perspective, it's quite impressive. Quite impressive.
Cool. Okay.
But a couple, 1 or 2 people don't seem to like the fact that she does all these things or posts all these things.
Yeah. Well, bummer. There's a lot of people that are. There's always going to be those type of people, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I take a 2-step approach when it comes to social media, right? Like I see its point. I see in sharing things, but like all too often, I see it as this crutch where we're all looking for validation, right? Like, oh, we didn't finish a race, so let me post the 37 reasons why I didn't finish the race on Facebook and get 500 don't worries, it'll be okay, right? But at the same time, I see a lot of good in that also. But then I see the other side is like, okay, people say, well, don't post negative things, don't criticize what I posted. Well, if you don't want criticism, don't post it, right? Like, you're posting it to get some reaction or some feedback. I've been so turned off by the social media component lately that I don't know. I could be wrong, but what do you think about that?
The whole social media sphere is kind of like real life, right? There are communities that communicate and use the channel a certain way, and there are others that use it totally differently. And I think you have to pick and choose what community you want to spend your time at. And if you find yourself in a group that, doesn't vibe with you, you just step out.
Yeah, I totally get that there are benefits to it. I do. I just see so much negative stuff on there a lot that And, some people are right. Like, this one person wrote, trying to actually find the comment on this one video that actually made it on Fox and Friends and ESPN, this video of her doing stuff at the beach. And I'm trying to find the comment, but this person commented, about, her being about herself or something like that. And people were, replying back like, well, don't follow her if you don't like it, right? And I guess there's a good...
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if hearing a little bit about what she's gone through and what she's doing now, I mean, if it were me, I'd probably do the same. I mean, if guys like take Dave Mackey, for instance, with his near-death experience and his rebounding and being able today to be out doing trail events and mountain biking events, that's all incredible stuff. When you go through life challenges that almost take you out, I mean, get on social media, and celebrate and have a following, and try to show people that there's more to you and that you weren't beaten down. I mean, I'd probably do the same, and shoot, I'd love to, I'd love to be as fit and admired and followed, but that's just not who I am. But people need something to look at, and if you don't like looking at it or hearing about it, then tune out.
Yeah, by the way, Dave Mackey, that guy's incredible, right? I mean, lost his leg. I just saw some video of him running on the trails. Yeah,
he's I remember,
super dude.
I mean, I don't know him personally, but I remember after his incident and hearing the story on several podcasts, and I followed him, and how you have that ability to instant message or direct message somebody, and just sort of just say, hey, just give some kind words and say, you're rooting for him and all that type of stuff. So, at that time, had a few exchanges, and it I don't know if it meant anything to him, and I imagine that he had a lot of that stuff going on, but as somebody who follows, it meant something. So it just goes to show that if you have a following, there are people that can stand to benefit from this thing of social media. It could really help propel folks forward, and that's kind of what it was with Dave Mackey. So seeing what he's up to today, it's like, it's incredible. It's still rooting for him. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I think I might have met him once or twice, but I don't really know him personally. But it's amazing stuff. The ability to bounce back from things. I mean, it shows that we're capable as humans of quite a bit.
Hey, diners, how's it going? I hope you are enjoying that cup of coffee at the diner, and hopefully it's the Pure Coffee Club coffee that is proudly served at the Ultra Diner. Speaking of the Ultra Diner, if you like the podcast, please do share it with people you know. We would love it if you would head over to Apple Podcasts, give a rating and a review, and while we're at it, the Ultra Diner is online on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at The Ultra Diner. That's all one word, at The Ultra Diner.
So I still can't find this one comment, but there's a ton of comments commenting on his comments in that video.
Well, when you find it, we can always roll back to it and cover it.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I got bacon though.
So what's up with you? What's going on with you?
Well, smack dab in the middle of a vacation and having a ton of fun with the family, and trying to like your advice. The kids enjoy the family because it happens so fast, and so trying to take that to heart. And, but I do know that in terms of running, I need to, after vacation, just, work on my fitness, work on my nutrition, and target a good performance in September. Late September, there is a 50K that I'm going to sign up for. Target trying to get a good performance out of that. And I know we talked about it, we chatted about it offline, and then looking at maybe an early December 50-mile event, and maybe use that as sort of my primary objective, if you will, as far as a run goal for the rest of the year. So I got a lot of work to do. I need to make some changes nutritionally and training wise. But that's me. How about you?
That's great. No, like I was saying before, I did this little experiment of going back from this low carb, no sugars, no grains lifestyle for a period of time. And just Monday started back at it. And I'm trying to be very, very diligent about recording things, especially like how I feel at certain times, how I feel in the morning, how much sleep I get, how much good sleep I get, what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, and how, especially in that initial stage where you're trying to change the way you fuel your body, what the impact is, what the effects are, from basically as many perspectives as I can find, right? Energy levels, training, stuff like that. And I can see a lot of points already that Vinny Tortorich and Zach Bitter taught me and conveyed about the process. So that's basically what I'm doing. I don't have any races planned really. Signed up for 100 in February, the Jackpot 100, and might try to do something good there for me, and maybe try to PR there or something. But actually school starts and preseason soccer starts in a week, so I'm going to be busy with that because I coach a high school boys soccer team, and my daughter plays, and my other daughter runs cross country. So it's one of those busy family times, and we're moving, and we're selling our house, and we're looking for a new house. So we got a lot going on over here.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. It's crazy. Yeah, I remember a while back you talked about how you do the opposite of NSNG and what that meant for you. So I guess here we are.
Yeah, I mean it's actually quite interesting to see the impact. Like today for me, this is the third day, right? So this is the third day, and I was up at like 20 after 5. I slept a little less than 7 hours, and I started by feeling better in the morning. I thought I had some more energy. But when I was running, my plan was just to do kind of a 4-mile recovery run. All of a sudden, like at mile 2.5, it was like, this is going to be like the worst day around, because I didn't have a lot of like pep in my step. My legs were really heavy. I was breathing a little heavier. And the first 2 miles I was running like at an 8:30 pace, but then all of a sudden it started drop to 8:40 to 8:50. And I couldn't wait to get done with the 4 miles. And then I look at my heart rate, and where my heart rate's usually in the 40s and 50s, my heart rate for this one, my average was like 169. So it's really become clear to me that exactly what Vinny and Zach would tell me about trying to go ahead and convert from being a sugar carb burner to a fat burner. You really have to dial things down when you're trying to convert, because your training and your energy level in the short term is going to suffer a bit as your body tries to continue to look for carbs and sugars, right? Before converting itself over to fat burner. So it's, that's kind of the lesson that I learned today is that's really true. I need to not run, 60, 70 miles this week and maybe the next week while I kind of let my body and my system figure out what's going on.
I've been slacking off a lot nutritionally, and what it's meant for me is I haven't been doing as much running as you, but what it's done for me is I've just gotten fat. So that's my result. But for the little bit of running that I am doing, I seem to be okay, but it isn't until the longer events for the several hours out where it actually, I'm sure it makes a difference. So I need to tighten things up, and then I'm pretty sure when I do, I'll start noticing some of those things that you're talking about. But I haven't been paying attention to or tracking as much, and maybe I should.
Well, when you say tracking, you mean you're talking about tracking like everything you eat and all that stuff, or are you just talking about just keeping an eye on things in general? Like, do you keep track of like all your macros and like how many grams of this and how many grams of that you eat every day?
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, not.
But I don't do that.
It'd be like pay attention to, okay, what am I eating, and then how am I feeling, and then maybe do a little heart rate monitoring. Go back to that and seeing sort of like, okay, what's my body doing then on days like where maybe I ate the wrong thing. What's that going to mean for my run or my heart rate?
I see. Interesting.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to do anything, but that's just sort of the thought. I mean, and then maybe I may not. I might just clean up my diet and then just step up my running and see what it means as far as how I feel and how if I'm able to be faster or just complete stuff feeling good. Still got to figure it a lot out.
That's cool. I think the key is to get into some kind of like rhythm where you're not thinking too much about what you're doing, but you're thinking enough about it, right? Like I think about is this workout today the right workout for me, right? I think about, what I'm having for breakfast or lunch or whatever I'm eating. Does it fit within the lifestyle that I'm living versus like, okay, it's got X grams of protein, X grams of carbohydrates. I don't keep track of that because to me, that's like too much of the minutia.
Yeah. I think for me, primarily it'll be just being true to staying away from the rice, staying away from the bread. And that's primarily it. And also maybe the booze, because where I fall off, it's mainly those things. I don't really care for the cookies and the ice cream and any of that stuff, but I do need to pay attention, or I need to care, because lately I've just not been caring, and I've just been, let's have a chili dog and eat all the bread, It's not good.
Right. Well, you got to start dialing it in if you're going to run a 50K and a 50 mile, right?
Yep, I do. I mean, I know what it's like to run it not dialed in. And if I really want to get faster, then I think all of that stuff is going to help. I think. I
think it will. For sure. You just got to, enjoy your vacation first. Like that's what I was saying to you before is like you're on vacation. Don't worry about podcasting or stuff like that. Family always comes first. I know like a lot of people, they put running first or whatever it is that they do first. And I always try to remember that I have a family here too that, I should put above my own personal stuff, which I used to not do. Maybe I still do a little bit, but you should enjoy your vacation because your 47 kids are going to be in college someday and hanging out somewhere, they're not going to be around. Notice how that number increases every time I talk to you.
It's going to be ridiculous. I'm going to have a whole country by the time we get to like 10 episodes.
Oh yeah. You're going to take over. You're definitely going to take over. So, let me ask you, did you follow the Badwater 135 at all?
I did, not religiously, but there were folks that I was curious about.
Like who were you curious about?
I have a friend. Her name is Gabriela Poapst, And
Right.
she's somebody I was following and rooting for because when we first met, she was bouncing back from, I believe, an Achilles injury. And she had been accepted into the race previously, but had to ask Chris Kosman if she could sort of like, because of the result of the injury, if I'm remembering the story right, but if as a result of the injury, is it possible to sort of do it do the event sometime in the future again, get in, but I don't know if she had to go through the same registration process before.
She would have had to go through the same registration process. They don't have any deferrals or, things like that for this race. There's an application period every year, and you go through the same process every year because you have to qualify every year.
I'm sure that was the case because when the selection process completed, she was on social media celebrating like, I get to go kind of deal. So yeah. So I tracked her a bit, just wanted to see where she was at. Her crew captain is Catcher Corbett, and so that team is basically like they're local to me, and so that's a second what do you call it, reason, like the hometown favorites for me, and there's somebody who's running it I know. So that was pretty much it. I was fascinated by all of the photos that the event was sharing online, and I won't lie, it's beyond me as a runner, but I fantasize about what it would be like to do the event, someday. But that's just too far ahead. I'd have to, what is the criteria in the application process and an essay, and you've got to have completed X number of 100 milers within a period of time, that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, like the website has all the good stuff on, how you do it and how you get in. But for starters, just to qualify for it, you have to either finish the race before. So you're not guaranteed to be in just because you were in before. But the qualification that would apply to you, most likely would be that you finish 3 100-mile running races, at least one of them being in the last 12 months.
Which means the journey to try to qualify and not get accepted in itself is awesome. At least from what I'm imagining, like I'd have to get to do all of those things, and then at some point in time say, yeah, I seem like I've got those things checked. Maybe I could put in my name in and do all of the application stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work to get into it, and then then the application process. There are questions, essay questions, things like that. And, but you have to work hard and you have to get at it because you have to run those 300-mile races. And I'm sure some people, like Ed Eddinghausen, who runs 1,000 100-mile races in a year, it's easy for him. But it might take you a couple of years to run 300-mile races. Your friend finished, by the way. So that was good.
She did, yeah. And, we'll try to invite her on and see if she wants to chat about her experience.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think it would.
I think that would be great. That would be great.
How about you? Who you've been tracking?
I kind of watch. I generally look at the race just in general. Having run it 7 times, I know a lot of the returning people that are out there running. I don't follow it every second of the day, but I had a lot of friends that I know that were out there, and a lot of them didn't finish. There were 30 DNFs this year. I think is the most DNFs in a single year.
I read it was,
and some really. Pardon?
I read it was pretty hot. I read it was the second hottest recorded in history or something. I don't know if that was true.
It's supposed to be hot. That's the whole point. When I go run the race, I want it to be the second hottest. The last thing you want in a race that's scheduled in Death Valley in July is to show up and go, oh, thank God, it's so cool this year. It's only 110. That's what you're getting ready for. You're getting ready to run in the extreme heat. I mean, yeah, no, it's great. It was a second. I mean, I don't look at that as an excuse that it was the 120 whatever degrees it was. I look at that as, I mean, and I think if you asked a lot of people that DNF like Frank McKinney or Brad Lombardi or any of those, Shannon Griefer, Kim Budzik, they won't tell you, oh, it was a hot year, I had a hard time. They'll tell you, I didn't finish. I tried my best and I worked hard and I didn't finish. And they will embrace the fact that it was one of the hotter years versus one of the cooler years. Because I can guarantee you, if you asked Marshall Ulrich or Frank McKinney, would you rather come to Death Valley to run the Badwater 135 and the temperatures reach 105 or 110 only, or would you rather run it when the temperatures are in the 120s? They're going to tell you they want to run it when it's in the 120s.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it was hot. It's always hot. And look, let's be honest, like coming from New York, like the difference between 120 and 125 or 127, I can't tell the difference. When I can tell the difference is when the temperature drops to 90 or 95 at night and I need a sweatshirt because it was so hot during the daytime. So to me, actually, the heat is not the biggest challenge in this race now. The biggest challenge in this race now is the fact that you have to start at night. So you're getting heat at different times than you would during the race. And that's a challenge because when you start at night, I mean, you haven't spent the last 6 months waking up at 6 p.m. and going to bed, and during the daytime. It's like, so you're changing your natural cycle to do that. So you start by running through the night and you get really tired really quickly.
Not to mention, I imagine, just if you're not sleeping in the day anyways, you're just thinking about the start, and that's just using up your energy, isn't it? Kind of anxious.
I was up.
Waiting.
Well, I was up all day when it started, and I was up all day. I couldn't sleep. I tried to fall asleep. It doesn't work.
Wow, crazy.
Plus, coming from the East Coast makes it a little bit different too. A little bit more difficult too, right? So, because if you start at 8 o'clock at night, it's really 11 o'clock at night back home. So, and typically for me, when I go from coast to coast, even though the trip is exhausting and I'm maybe up a little bit later than I would be, I wake up at like 4 a.m. anyway, or 3 a.m. anyway, because it's, that's what the time is back home when I would have woken up. So,
and since you've been doing it for quite a while, I mean, you've done it several times. And I mean, for some reason, I'm thinking you don't just go there to do the event, but you go there to lend a hand, help things along, as if you're like this hybrid volunteer and athlete at the same time. Am I just making that up, or is that sort of what you actually do? How you spend your time now when you're there?
No, for me, I haven't. This is the third year that I haven't done the event. I did it 7 years in a row from 2009 to 2015, I guess it is, right? And so I haven't done it the last 3 years because, as you talked about before, I put family ahead of all of this stuff while they get ready to go off to college. But when I did the event, every year was kind of different. Like the first year was to do it, and I didn't know what the event was about. I had crewed there, but I didn't know what it was about to be a runner there. But I go there to see the great people, the camaraderie that's involved, the individual personal challenge, the things you can learn about yourself, about the environment, about how incredible the human spirit is, and how we can triumph in situations when you think that there's nothing but despair all around. And I've had some experiences like that out there. But in general, it's an incrediyou atmosphere. Sure, you help people along the way. I mean, eventually, to be honest, you get so spread out that you either don't see many people eventually for quite a long period of time if you're kind of stuck in the middle of a place, or you're always seeing the same people, right? One van is kind of looping, moving ahead of you. You pass that van, the runner's right behind you, or the runner's right ahead. So you generally might see the same crew for a very, very long period of time, because their runner happens to be, a half a mile or a mile behind you, and the other runner might be just a little bit ahead of you or something like that. So the crews really interact in kind of the same way there. But I go there because it's fun for me, and it's a good experience, and it's a learning experience, and it's a challenge. And my family actually enjoyed going out there and being a part of the whole event. We actually, one year, we volunteered and ran the race. So we were on the volunteer staff pre-race and then ran the race. So we had kind of like a dual role. So it's a great event. But I would suggest, if you're interested in doing it, to first go out there and crew it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Crew it, figure out how to complete 3 100-milers, and then see.
I think first I think you should focus on your 50K and your 50-miler coming up. I think that's your first focus, and then you could take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I mean, I got a lot of work to do, but I like to think that the older, because we're about the same age. I think the older that I get, I like to imagine okay, I gotta be one of those guys who make all the younger guys look ridiculous whenever they don't do anything athletic. I gotta be one of those guys who get up in age and and stays active. I gotta be those guys. I gotta be that example for my kids. Like, hey, you know what? I may be old, but this is what I'm able to do, and I'm looking at doing bigger stuff. So try to be a positive role model. I don't know. How do your kids view your athletic endeavors?
How do my kids view it? Well, I have a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, so I don't think they view anything their mom and dad does as anything but interfering with what they're doing in life. So, we have to go somewhere for a race, but I wanted to hang out with my friends, or I wanted to go, we're all going to the beach, or we're all doing something like that. So I think they're at an interesting age. It's very challenging having 2 kids in high school. One will be a junior and one will be a senior. So, and 2 daughters, no less. So watch out for the boys.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a whole different reality or thing to look forward to for me. 2 boys, and the youngest one is a girl. Oh.
Wait, you only have 3 kids?
The other several are virtual, but I'm responsible for them nonetheless.
All right, that's more than 3, but very good, very good.
I just ruined the illusion.
So let me ask you too. Do you drink Pure Coffee Club coffee?
I've had all 3 of their original blends or roasts that they started out with: the Athletic, the Honey Process, and I can't remember what the third one was. And it's awesome.
Is it good? It's really good. So I haven't gotten to I'm going to get the coffee soon. I just haven't gotten to the coffee yet because I have a collection of coffee that I'm still kind of going through right now. But what I really want to try is they have the ultra salt product that they put out, and see how that works with training and stuff like that. That looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I make the same. I do the same thing. I mean, we know the folks behind the ultra salt, and we know the folks behind Pure Coffee Club, and I gotta finish the supply of salts. What I do realize as far as salts is concerned, one of the last events that I did, even though I packed my own salts, I took some of the salts that were on the aid station table, and it turned my stomach really quick. I forget which it was. I think I have salt sticks at home, so I think it were the S caps, and I apologize if you're a fan of the S caps, but I think something about it just turned my stomach. So I'm interested to find out, what to try out the ultra salts. They were given out at the Badwater 35.
Yeah, they were there, and I think everybody who ran it got at least 1 bottle of it. They're a sponsor. They sponsor the race. I think they're one of the bigger sponsors of the race. when you said you had some stomach trouble just from taking salt from the aid station, how did you get the salt in the aid station? Was it just sitting in a bowl at the aid station?
Yeah, I was sitting.
Like, how did you get the pill? Yeah, see, like, I don't know why you had stomach issues, whether it was because of salt or maybe because like 75 other people with their sweaty hands came through and stuck their hand in that little bowl that had all the little salt pills in it.
Yeah,
that's possible too.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the fact that I also grabbed an electrolyte drink to wash it down. You know, it was later on it at least felt pretty late in the event, and I was pretty beat. So then I cared less about, you know, fishing out of my pockets and my gear for my own stuff, and figured I'll just, you know, I paid for this. I paid to participate in this event, and the aid stations are here for the athletes. Might as well try and take what's there and as part of the experience. So I grabbed one of their salts, and I told Ken Michal, who was manning the station at that time, let me try one of those electrolyte drinks that you're serving up. I used that to throw the salt back. Went out on my way, made a turn in the trail, and no one could see me, and just got rid of it all. I threw it all up. So to be fair, it may have been other things, not just the salt.
Well, if Ken handed it to you, that was the issue right there. That caused it right there. Ken himself.
Yeah. Well,
no, he's a good guy. He's a good guy, that guy.
Yeah, he's super positive. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Oh, definitely. I think I saw him last at the jackpot race. I think he was there. I'm pretty sure he was there.
Yeah, I think he did like the 48 hour or something. One of those events.
I think so.
One of those kind of events.
I think so. He's definitely a super cool. He's definitely a super cool dude. I like that guy a lot.
Yeah, it was funny because that aid station encounter that I described, I went for the water, and someone was pouring water, and I looked up and it was Ken, and I'm like, Ken? He's like, yeah, and then I'm like, I mean, it was the first time we met. We've been, you know, we're on social, you know, Facebook and stuff, and we get to interact that way, and he happens to be on it was funny, he's on another Facebook group that I admin and for podcasters. So it wasn't until after I figured out who he was with his podcast and stuff that I figured, like, oh God, he's even on this group, and we've been interacting long before I figured out, you know, he was this super talented ultra runner.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like him a lot. So yeah, all right, man. Well, listen,
maybe we'll have him on this podcast, and we can talk.
We should do that. We should definitely do that. We should definitely do that. Let's plan on that.
Okay.
Let's plan on that for sure.
Okay.
But unfortunately, my time has expired for today.
Oh yeah, we got to run. We got to pay the check here.
Yes, that would be a good thing, and it's your turn to pay. So I ain't paying.
I thought I paid last time we met up. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about. I left my money at home.
That's the game. Okay.
I left all my money at home.
Okay. I got Apple Pay. I think this diner's that high tech. They can handle the Apple Pay over here at the diner.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Very cool. But
all right.
This was pretty fun. I hope we could do it. I hope we do it again soon. I think we should get some guests on here and explore different things.
Well, I'll start reaching out, and then we'll start scheduling stuff out, and have a lot of fun. Cool, man.
Awesome, my friend.
All right, I'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time, Ruel.
All right. On behalf of Tony Portera, I am Ruel Abram signing out. Thanks for spending time here in the greasy spoon of ultra running, the Ultra Diner. The music that you've heard at the top of the show and that you're hearing now at the end is the song Candy Wine by the band Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane is a band out of Martinez, California, and I wanted to thank them for being able to share their music on this podcast. So please do check out DorothyLaneMusic.com for more about the band, more about their music, where they're performing, follow them on social, and most importantly, support the band, buy their music, and share. Thanks, Dorothy Lane, and thanks, diners, for tuning in and stopping by.
This is another Coffee with Heavy Cream production.